Hey guys, welcome to another one of our liquid art tutorials. Today we're going to be painting these beach turtles, all in acrylic, all designed for beginners, so grab your stuff and let's get started. So here's our setup for today. I want you guys to remember this is all step by step, so please feel free to pause this video at any point and just catch up when you're ready. So we've got our painting in front of us here for you guys to see what I'm painting. We've then got a canvas board in the middle, 3 paintbrushes, a big one, a medium one and a small one, our paint water and some kitchen towel to clean our brushes. We've then got our palette. I've covered it in cling film so it's got easy cleaning, and then we've got the acrylic colours black, blue, turquoise, white, yellow and brown. Now you don't need to have all of these colours. Ideally for this painting you want 2 different blues. That's why I've got the turquoise. You could use a green though, that could work for you, just depends what you like. And then for the brown, if you don't have brown, just have some red as well. Mix some red, yellow and blue and it will make the brown for you. We will get to that bit later. So first things first, you're going to take your big brush, give it a really good wash for me, and then dab some of that excess water off. We're going to take some of our turquoise and we're just going to paint it across here like so. So with this bit of the water, you're just painting it diagonally across. So now we're going to take some white and some of our turquoise blue and just mix it together here on our palette. And then we're using a dabbing motion around here. This is going to be between the sea and the shore. So we're just dabbing it along here, just roughly making that shoreline. We're then just going to add a few bits along here. This is just adding roughly where these waves are going to be, and then we're going to build this up with some different shades of blue in a second. So now a really good wash with your paintbrush. We're going to take a different colour this time. So we're going to take that darker blue and we're just going to dab a few bits along here. And then when you're ready, we're going to take some blue and now mix it in with a little bit of black. And we're just going to create a really deep blue here. So you don't want this to be all across your painting. We're just going to do a few little bits spread out across here, going in these diagonal lines as if they're the waves. And we just want to make sure that this dark blue is going to be the deepest part of the water. So we don't want it right by the shoreline. We're just keeping it in that corner. So now guys, you're going to give your paintbrush a really good wash for me, and you're going to take your medium paintbrush this time. So now I'm using my medium brush and I'm using a little bit of white and I'm just dabbing along here. This is going to be where the white horses are, if you will, and next to the shoreline. So we're just dabbing along, it's mixing in with the blue underneath, which is brilliant, and then we're just going to start dabbing it, trying to make that gradient between the blues and the whites. So guys, don't worry too much if your blues blend too much or it's too white. We're going to change this later on and we're going to keep building up these different colours. But for now, you just want to make sure this bit is more whiter than the blue bit in the deeper part of the sea. So now we've dabbed around our shoreline, we're just going to bring some of this white up into the waves just slightly. So we're just using the exact same motion, just dabbing along. And now I'm going to take some of my turquoise again and just dab back over that if it was too white. If it wasn't, don't worry about this, you don't have to do this step, but I'm just breaking this up a little bit more and bringing this turquoise blue into the darker blue. So now we're going to do the exact same, but into our white a little bit more. So we're just dabbing in this more turquoise blue, just dabbing it into the whiter bits that we've already painted. You might want to leave yours for now, you might want to keep adding to it, it's entirely up to you guys. It'll just depend on how blue you've made this. So just brushing that turquoise into the darker blues here. Just breaking it up a little bit more, and what it's going to do is mix with the paint that's already on the palette, and it's just going to give you that really nice deep blue mixed in with the turquoise. So once you're happy with this, we are going to come back to the sea in a second, but what we're going to do is give our paintbrush a really good wash, and then we're going to take some white and some yellow and a tiny bit of our brown. Now notice I'm only taking a really tiny bit here. We're just going to mix it together. You might want this a little bit lighter than this actually, so I'm going to use a little bit more white in a second. But what we're going to do is paint a base layer for our sand. So when you're ready, I want you to leave a tiny gap between the sea and where the sand is, and you're just going to colour this bit in for me. And then in a second, what we're going to do is going to build up with this using some whites and some browns, and it's just going to build that texture in the sand. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a little bit more white into that colour that we've already made, and we're just going to brush it over the top here just to lighten it. Again, we're just using that dabbing motion just to build up, and we're just going to blend these two colours together using this. So now what you're going to do is take a little bit more brown into that colour that we made, and a little bit more white, so we want a soft brown for this. And what we're going to do is we're just going to dab a few little bits here. This is just giving a few different bits of texture to the sand. You might find that you don't like how it's mixing and you want to blend these two colours together a little bit more. You might not like this colour at all, you don't have to use it if you don't want to. But I feel that it just adds that little bit of texture and it works really well, especially around where our turtles are going to be. I've just wanted to lighten mine a little bit more, so I'm just using a little bit of white here. So we've blended our sand really nicely. I'm just going to now add just a tiny bit more brown into this as well, because the brown is very subtle on mine right now. I'm just adding it in kind of around the corners, going towards the edge a little bit more, where the turtles would be, and kind of more towards the shore as well. So now I'm happy with my sand. I'm going to give my paintbrush a really good wash. And now what I'm going to do is take some white and mix it into my blue just slightly, and we're just going to go over the shoreline again. So remember, we want the shoreline nice and white, and I'm just dabbing it over my sand just slightly as well, making a few splashes as if it's come over the sand a little bit more. So guys, now I've mixed some turquoise in with my white, and I'm just dabbing it over here a little bit more. We don't want this bit to be so white. Like I said before, we're just building up lots of different colours here. So all we're doing here is just reworking these lines just to make sure that we've got the colours going right in the background. We don't want this too blue, we don't want this too white, we just want to spread them out just a little bit more. So this bit is going to seem like we're repeating ourselves a little bit, but actually it's really building up some lovely layers in here, and we're getting some lovely colours coming through it as well. If you find that you've done enough though, please don't hesitate just to stop. Pick this up again later, and we're going to add some highlights in a second. So right now what I'm doing is using my smallest brush, and I'm just using a tiny bit of that straight turquoise and just brushing it into the whiter colour that we've already created. And now just give my brush a little bit of a wash, just so it's got a little bit more water on it. I'm going to take some of that turquoise again, and I'm just going to dab it into these darker spots here. Else when we put the white on in a second, it's going to be a real colour clash, and we don't want that to happen. So we're just adding a tiny little bit, and then in a second we're going to add some white straight on top. So this is going to be like the waves are starting to break. We're just going to add a tiny bit of white straight on top after this. So now we're taking that little bit of white and we're just dabbing across the bit that we already did. So you don't want to go overkill with this, you just want to do a few little bits now and then. And you don't even have to do this completely white if you don't want to. You could do this in a really light blue, that would work perfectly. You just want to add a few little bits. This is as if the horses are starting to break into the shore. That's why we're going to do it. So you just want to do a few tiny little bits here. So all we're doing is adding these few little bits of white, and as you can see I'm actually trying to match it to where I did it on the previous painting. So I'm just doing a few little bits along the top of these waves, and then in the middle we're going to have a little broken up bit as well. So just keep going along with these. You don't have to do as many, you can do only a few of them if you want, but you just want to have this bit here. This is kind of the last little break. So once you've done that, what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a little bit more of my white. So I've just washed my brush just slightly. A little bit more of our white, and we're going to go over the shoreline again. Now the reason I'm doing this with the white first is because, as you can see underneath, the sandy colour is kind of mixed in with the blue a little bit. Now white paint is always best for this, as it's so opaque. You could literally cover any colour up with a bit of white. It might take a few layers, but that's what you want to do. So I'm just going over with the white, and then I'm using a tiny bit of the light blue just to get the colour that I want. So guys, we're nearly there. So what I want you to do is give your paintbrushes a really good wash, and we're now going to do the turtles. So I've just taken a tiny bit of black and put it onto my brush. You want to make sure this is a little bit runny, not so runny that it makes a bit of a mess like mine just did. So I've just taken it off, but you want it runny enough that you can move it. So what you're going to do with this, you can do as many turtles as you like, or you could do a kind of a herd of turtles, a little army of them. You could just do one. Could do none. So what I want you to do is just draw a little circle to start with, and then from here we're going to do a tiny little dot for where its head is, and then we're going to pull these tiny little legs off. Now these are literally the size of the end of my brush. So we're just going to do 4 little ones, and then a tiny little tail between the two, and then another. Now if you don't like what you've done with your turtle, you can take this off with a wet wipe, and then maybe need to paint over it a little bit with the sand colour and then do it in again. You could let this dry a little bit, and you could draw them on and then paint them. It's entirely up to you guys. So for my second turtle, I did pretty much the same thing. All I did was position him slightly differently so he's facing more towards the right. If you guys want to add more turtles, you can do. You might even want to add a little bit of shadow kind of around them. It's entirely up to you. So now all I'm doing is just working into this part of the shore again. So I'm just using a tiny little bit of white and a little bit of blue, and I'm just covering up certain bits that I didn't like and adding in lighter bits as well. So I've gone in with a darker blue here just to add a bit more depth to these waves. So now I'm just using my medium brush. I've just made it nice and wet, and I'm just blending the paint that's already on our canvas. So guys, I'm just adding a few tiny little touches to this. You guys don't have to do that if you don't want to. So I just want to thank you guys so much for painting along with us today. I hope you enjoyed it, and I'd love to see what you created, so please send them to us at RB Liquid Art. We're on Instagram, Facebook, pretty much anything really. So yeah, so thank you guys so much for painting with us. If you have any tutorials you'd like for us to do, if you have any painting ideas, please drop them in the comments below and I'm sure we'll sort them out. So thank you guys so much again. Please share this video, like and subscribe. See you next time.